Word this afternoon that by Friday we may have a vote on the Senate's so-called financial reform bill. I emphasize so-called. It's a bill that still fails to address any of the underlying problems that create the unfairness and the extraction that the mega banks perpetrate against our country every day. That is too big to fail. They create risk. They transfer the risk to us. They keep the money. And gambling with state capital, which is done using too big to fail. The banks are bigger than they've ever been, and leverage is still very much in place. It's just that now you're going to have a Russian Politburo run by the Treasury and the Fed determining whose money they're going to steal and how much. As we approach the final act, we are examining some of the actual heroes and villains that are taking center stage in the battle to either put the capital back in capitalism or perpetuate the absurd credit casino run by the likes of Larry Summers and Judd Gregg. And if you think that we're talking about politicians in suits, think again. I'd like you to meet some new characters on our show. We begin with a young fellow named Cloture. Cute, right? He's the Terminator in this saga. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid says the time for cloture is now. A vote for cloture would stop all debate on financial reform and pave the way for a final vote. This would be great for the banksters because then they could avoid real debate as to how to actually make this a real bill. They're trying to get it done as early as tomorrow. That is, unless our next character, filibuster, you know him, gets in the way. Now, usually viewed as an enemy of democracy, this time, it could actually be America's best defense against a bill that not only still needs toughening up, but a bill right now that would actually make things worse. Democratic Senators Maria Cantwell and Byron Dorgan say they will filibuster unless their amendments to restore Glass-Steagall separate, again, your banking, commercial banking, supported by the taxpayer, and credit speculation, which is I'm fine with. I just don't see why you need access to the Federal Reserve to pay off your credit speculation, gentlemen. Doesn't make sense to me. Also, a ban on naked swaps not getting a full vote. You know, Senator Dorgan's vote actually not allow random betting with no money on whether other companies will fail, since it has no economic purpose whatsoever, and the state absorbs all the risk. Anyway, they don't care about that, apparently. Then there's the manager's amendment. This character, hey, look at this guy. This character is being crafted behind the scenes, obviously, by Senators Dodd and Shelby. They're the managers of the bill. They get to operate in secret. It's more fun. They get to do more deals, that kind of thing. This amendment, a powerful catch-all package of changes, really, for basically looking at as many as 40 so-called small Republican amendments. We don't know what they are. It is also in here, in this manager's amendment, that they will do the dirty work of stripping Senator Blanche Lincoln's comprehensive derivatives fix. Again, the thinking being that her comprehensive derivatives fix was just a prop for her primary today against Lieutenant Governor Halter, and that they'll use the manager's amendment to gut it after Senator Lincoln advances. Again, they're just manipulating you and me so that they can then go back to giving money to the banksters as they steal our money. Word is that both Dodd and Shelby's manager's amendment may counteract key elements of the Lincoln derivatives crackdown. Again, they think we're really stupid. I don't know. I don't understand. Anyway, let's go to the big players. Too big to fail and infinite leverage using the credit default swap. Where do they fit in the bill? Think of these two like the dastardly duo. These are your bad guys right here. Very bad guys. Bonnie and Clyde, I don't know, whatever you want to think of. These two are the ones that are a direct threat to the economic future of our country, fairness and freedom in America. It allows the picking of winners, the manipulation of money, and ultimately the facilitation of the largest wealth transfer in the history of the world. Not since the pharaohs and Egyptians worked to screw over everybody and take the money have we seen a group do what's being done to us in our country right now by TBTF and infinite leverage. And yet the current Senate bill makes the too big to fail banks, bigger than they've ever been, and doesn't do that much to prevent them from levering up and then jamming all their problems in our gut while they steal our money. You can see why I don't like this bill that much. Kaufman Brown had the pair in its sights. They had them. They were right there. But it was voted down 61-33. Too big to fail is in, baby. And so, too, is all sorts of risk hiding and leverage. Meantime, politicians love to tell us, speaking of risk hiding, that they're a friend of transparency. Remember all the talk, President Obama, transparency, accountability, blah, blah, blah. As you recall, the brightest transparency proposal to audit the Fed, introduced by Republican David Vitter, was an actual audit of the Federal Reserve, a la our friend Ron Paul. That was voted down. You wouldn't want to see all that crazy stuff where we stole all the money and gave it to the bankers. Then we'd lose our jobs. Although the Sanders lesser audit the Fed amendment does look good, which I attribute to not only Senator Sanders' incredible efforts in coalition building, but also to the understanding of this issue by Americans who are very frustrated and would be remiss not to be calling for this sort of transparency. Finally, our trusty friend, capital requirements. This is where in capitalism you actually have to have your money to pay for your bets, and that way you have to make decisions based on whether you think that's a good idea. It's crazy, I know. It's much more fun to transfer the risk to the government, bet as big as you can, take the winnings, and then go, to the boat and leave it to the stupid Americans to deal with after you're gone. And yet, capital requirements, cute too, don't you think? Look at all that money, big eyes. Can't seem to find his way into the legislation. We have seen some efforts from the likes of Bob Corker and others. Maybe that will come in the manager's amendments. We shall see. But as we careen towards final passage, lawmakers should keep one key thing in mind. Just because something has the word reform in it, it does not mean that you can fool the population into thinking that it actually is. Americans understand too big to fail, and infinite leverage, and risk hiding, and stealing. And come November, many of our congressmen will not be answering to my silly imaginary cartoon characters, cute as they may be, but instead facing millions of fed-up voters for what now looks like make-believe reform. How do we make it better? There is still action on the floor.